Welcome to the Start Something Show. Join world-renowned experts, change agents, and everyday folks who have done the amazing. All here to help you start something incredible. Now it's time to step out, live your perfect day, and create a legacy with your host, Tina Dietz.
Hey guys, it's Tina Dietz. Welcome to the Backstage Pass of the Start Something Show. I am stoked to welcome back Carolyn Ellis, the founder of BrillianceMastery.com, visual facilitator extraordinaire, doodling goddess, and who's going to be showing us how to unleash our doodling powers into our creativity, into our decision making. And you'll only get this if you listen to the top half of the show. We're going to get our goo on. So you should probably go back and listen to that just to be able to get that joke. So, and by the way, if you haven't already, download, and I mean it, 3 easy ways doodling attracts more clients in your business at brilliancemastery.com/doodle. It is a doodled download. No kidding. So, Carolyn, welcome back.
And it certainly is.
Thanks for joining me.
Oh, this is so cool. A backstage pass. I feel like they're going to get the real stuff.
VIPs only.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Tina. I think it's so cool what you're doing here with your show. I love it.
Thank you. I just, this is what it's all about as far as I'm concerned, giving people what they need so they can go out and do what they love. That's what it's all about. However that looks.
Nice.
Whatever it takes. Now, we talked about in the show reinventing yourself and how that often turns into reinventing your business. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if you would say a little bit more about when do you think it's a good time to start looking at reinventing yourself? Or reinventing your business based on your own experience, because you've done this several times, as have I, but I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Gosh, sometimes you just, it's not really something that you plan for. You just notice all of a sudden the things that you deeply cared about, like you couldn't live without. You wake up one day and it's like, meh, I'm kind of over that now. Or, there's just some sense of like disquiet or a little lethargy starts to settle in, and just something feels like it's not quite fitting right. Kind of like my skinny jeans. If I was to try them on, I'd be like, something's just not quite right here anymore. So you realize that something is changing, and that something is you. And yeah, you're right. This has happened to me many times, and I think the question that we have, and it's a interesting question / dilemma actually for us who are solopreneurs, and we started our business, and often like we are our brand. So I know for me, when I sort of shifted from my initial focus in divorce and separation into Brilliance Mastery, it was like, oh no, like what about all those people who came for this reason? Will they come with me for this next evolution of my life and my business? And for me, they did have to be in congruence with each other. Like I just couldn't bring my best self to doing the divorce coaching anymore, because it didn't call to me the way it did when I created it. And I had to really honor that in myself. And what I found actually was interesting is a lot of people in my tribe were going through a similar journey. Like they wanted that connection, but they were ready for that next piece, which is like, so who are you really when you want to be, when you want to grow up? And what does that look like if you're creating your business? How do you make that successful? How do you impact people? How do you make a difference? How do you, see money in your bank account? Those kinds of questions. So it can be a little bit tricky, but I think, if I was to say like, what are my sort of like top 1 or 2 choices that I made when I was feeling that sense of reinvention, one was definitely paying attention. So, giving myself a little bit more space and silence to kind of really listen to that inner voice that speaks to me, that was nudging me in a different direction. When we get so busy, it's really hard to hear that. So more meditation, getting up for yoga, just even going for a walk with the dog, just taking that time to say, you know what? I don't need the answers in this instant, but I need to start asking myself some questions. What is truly meaningful for me? How can I make a bigger difference? What is working that I need to amplify, and what's feeling tired and, like it doesn't fit anymore that I can let go of, and how do I start to do that?
Well, I don't think I even need to add anything to that.
Okay.
That was pretty complete. Complete. Now let's tie in the graphic facilitation and the doodling aspect of things. what are some ways that folks can start breaking out the markers and start using this tool to help them in the decision-making process, in this reinvention process?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Okay, well, I think the first thing I want to say about that is a lot of people have intimidation, and I know I didn't give it too much thought at the time about my level of intimidation because I thought, well, I knew I couldn't draw. So I was like, I can't draw. I'm not that artistic. I mean, I loved color. I've always loved color. Wasn't sure why, but, whether it was like knitting colorful scarves or just even taking copious notes and different colored markers, I was doing that for a while. But the first thing I would say, if you want to access your creativity, and doodling might be a way you want to play with it, is just, let it go. You do not need to be able to draw. You don't be artistic. It's okay. You can still have a lot of fun. And, when I'm teaching people, the basics of how to learn to doodle, that is like a huge revelation and relief for most people. And in a way, because what you need to know is that the fact that you are choosing your color, that you are feeling some sort of emotional connection or a little excitement as you're like, oh, I'm at this, taking notes on my TED Talk here, and then I do something. That in itself is already building a level of engagement and firing up both sides of your brain in a way that's different than if you're just sort of passively receiving the information through your ears, or even if you're just typing it out on your keyboard. You're giving yourself a little pause to inject, like, what do I love and how do I want to express this? So that's one piece. And the other thing I want to say is, even if you start off with a baby step, like experimenting with font. So make something all caps, make balloon letters, make, just do like little stick letters and add like little circles on the end of them to make them look kind of goofy. There's so much that you can do, and that in and of itself is going to make your notes more visual and therefore make them more memorable and easier for you to actually remember what the heck it was that you were learning at that seminar, or that you saw and you read in that book. So color and just making some simple different choices about things like font can go a long way. I think a next step that's also fun is playing with outlines around some key ideas. So when you get a key idea, you can put like a big star next to it, or you can make a big sort of like kapow kind of thing like Batman used to have, just put a big sort of border around that whole thought and color that in. So you don't even have to go anywhere near drawing people or cars or computers if you don't want to, is what I'm saying.
You can basically have it work however you want.
Yeah. And I mean, even this is not entirely doodling, but it is another easy way to help bring some of this sort of doodling kind of creativity and get your juices flowing, is our friend, the colorful sticky note. So when you're sitting there with a billion things to, try to make a decision on, put them down on an individual sticky note and then put it on a colorful background and say, okay, which of these things belongs together? Which of these things are most important to get done first? And you can just start to organically, because again, what are you doing? You're using color. You're engaging your sense of enjoyment. You're making it kinesthetic. You're actually using your fingers and moving things, and you're hearing that paper, zip off the, the paper you've got it stuck to and plunking it down on another position. All of those are activating all of your senses, and it's engaging you more deeply in your decision-making process.
Yeah, I agree. And, one of my favorite, the whole sticky note things, because I think I possibly have them in at least 15 different colors. We only have like 6 suitcases of stuff, but I have 10 different colors of sticky notes. If that
one of those suitcases is full of sticky notes.
It's sticky notes and Sharpies.
Oh.
Yes. So can't live without the Sharpies. I think I have Sharpies stashed in 3 different or 4 different houses in 3 countries.
Well, you just don't know.
You just don't know when you're going to need Sharpies.
Keep backup supplies. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to go out and get them. You want them at your fingertips. Yeah. But, I know as I've been, growing my different ventures and reinventing over the years, you get to a point where, as you were saying earlier, in this kind of gooey cocoon state where you kind of have to go in and deal with yourself and deal with the changes and deal with the fact that what you thought was kind of it is no longer it, and things are changing, and there's this reinvention process. And I have this process called throwing it up on the wall. And I usually use it when it comes to planning something or when it comes to putting things into time and using different color sticky notes for different categories of things in my life that I need to deal with. And basically creating a full-on wall map of usually a month of all the stuff that needs to get done so that I can, it's kind of like Jackson Pollock, but without the cleanup. You know, you kind of like slap all the different colors and you slap all the things you have to do up on the wall, and then you rearrange it until it feels like it's workable.
Nice.
And then it hits to that point. So I am stoked that you brought up the sticky note thing as well. Now, going back to the doodling side of things, you mentioned some different ways that this has some practical application, either for people to use inside of their business for themselves or to use with clients. You teach some class on this, on learning how to doodle. What are some of the things that get taught? What do people want to consider if they want to go deeper into learning how to doodle?
Well, one thing that I teach in the Learn to Doodle workshop that I don't see a lot. I mean, I've researched, read a lot of books. There's not a lot of people, training how to do this. But the one piece that I bring to it, which is a bit different, is preparing yourself before you even get anywhere near those markers. There's a lot of support that I give people about how to listen and how to really trust yourself. So, because when, you can imagine if you're like sitting there taking notes live, for example, say you were doodle noting it, if you have a lot of inner dialogue, which is like, oh, wait, how do you spell that word? Ooh, is that a good point? Should I write that down? Ooh, I don't have a visual icon for that. I should probably draw something. What will I draw? Oh, no, he's still talking. I missed something. All of that. So preparing to listen, and it's a really transformational process, like the steps that people go through in the workshop, because it's more about honoring your wisdom, trusting yourself, and making meaning in the moment. I think a lot of times, many of us, we go around in our lives just accumulate, we're like Velcro. We will, take advice. I mean, a lot of people take advice from everybody, and it's like, okay, I've got all the information I need. Now what do I do? And so no wonder a lot of us, when we're running our businesses, it's like, what should I do first? What's the next thing? What's really important to me? Maybe I should do it like they said because they got the formula for success and I'm still trying to figure it out. So the listening process before you even start to doodle and the trusting yourself is huge. And what's very interesting, actually, whether you doodle or not, I've had a number of people take this workshop and they're like, the weird thing, Carolyn, is that I'm not doing the doodle notes, but all of a sudden I am writing copy like a banshee. I used to procrastinate on stuff, and I'm just diving into things because it opens up this sort of permission to express yourself that a lot of people get bottled up over time. And that's something I found really amazing is, just sort of that freedom to trust and discern for themselves, which I'm a big, big proponent of. It's like, you are at the helm of your ship. You are the ultimate authority on how you want to create your business, how you want to run it, who you want to work with, how you want to, balance it all out with the rest of your life. And this is a really amazing little transformational tool that supports that.
I just love this. It's so cool. Now, we have, of course, an audience here who is all people who are looking to make changes in their lives and to start something and to move forward. What are 3 steps, 3 actions that people could take this week to help them gain momentum in their Start Something process?
Okay. Well, the first one that just jumps right out at me is about being in that goo state. If you've got that hankering to be starting something new, giving yourself some time to really marinate in your creative juices that are sort of bubbling up and just giving you that like, hey, it's time for something new. You got to get going on this. And this is where our friends, the sticky notes, come in, where taking that time out to go for a little walk and just clear your head, but carve out some time and really make it like a sacred appointment with yourself and your sticky notes and your colorful markers, and just say, okay, if I could do anything, what's my intuition telling? What's my impulse? What's my desire? And just start jotting those things down in whatever. If you make it visual and make it something that you can move around like the sticky notes, that I think is ideal. So give yourself that time to brainstorm. Do it this week. It'd be fantastic, because a lot of times, we get this feeling like we want to change something, and your creative juices need to find an outlet. You want to honor yourself by putting it out in a physical form some way. You do that because that will give you perspective, and then you can put your little planner manager hat on and say, okay, wow, that's cool. How am I going to do this now? But it also clears, it's like, when you clear out your inbox, you can still receive messages. You don't get like, oh, sorry, that voice message is now full and can't receive anything more. You'll be opening up more space for more creativity and ideas to come to you. So put it out, give yourself some time to brainstorm. I think the second thing for starting new is just to have some meaningful conversations with people. You don't, just testing the waters, like you don't want to start something new completely in isolation from the world around you. And sometimes people like myself, a recovering perfectionist, it's like I had to have everything all figured out. I didn't want, before I would like let anybody know what was happening. That's something I've learned is a bit of a mistake and a missed opportunity. But, testing the waters, having conversations, just like, hey, you know what, this is something that I'm really feeling inspired about. I'd love to get like your perspective. Do you notice this? And you just don't, it's like adding a little bit of fertilizer to your creative process. It's just, you want to pick the right people. You don't want to go to people who are like, oh, no, you got to do it this way. So you want to go to people who you trust, who love you and see the highest in you, and who can, contribute to the conversation, but not in a way where they're trying to coach you through your process. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally does make sense. There's a big difference between having someone who's a committed listener and having somebody who's a coach.
Right. Yeah. Oh, we could have a whole conversation about the coaching world. But anyway, that'll be another show. And then the third thing I think is really important is just committing to the little something, a baby step. Don't make like the whole 12-year plan or a 12-month plan. Just like what's one, and I use this phrase a lot, what's one next step I can do to move that ball just a little farther down the field today? What's the best and highest use of my time and energy? And take some action. Take a little bit of action every day. It's better than taking a whole hell of a lot of action once every 4 months. So because that, again, it's like if you're energetically, you are priming the pump. You want to keep those circuits open and flowing and let your brilliance start to really guide you. You don't have to think a lot about it. What I've really learned is when I get myself too trapped in my head and I think I have to plan everything out, I miss a lot of opportunities. This is one of the brilliant things that happens when, you go through unexpected challenges or crises. You kind of, you're already down on your knees anyway, so like you can't even plan how to get up, let alone plan like the next stage of your life or your business. So I truly believe that when you are just sort of open and surrendered and you're just kind of holding like a open awareness and you're receptive, you are going to get nudges. You're going to get people showing up to say, oh, and you're like, holy crap, I never knew that there was somebody who did that. I need to find that. So follow those cosmic breadcrumbs. That's really important.
Now I just want cosmic breadcrumbs.
I know, I'm hungry.
I know. Cosmic breadcrumbs. Follow the cosmic breadcrumbs. That's beautiful. Thank you. That was just a whole world of training in and of itself right there. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's really valuable to our community here. Yes. Well, just one last question. I know your time is super valuable, so I want to make sure we honor you for the time here. Oh. And I would love to know, what's the legacy you'd like to leave?
Oh my gosh, you ask great questions. Wow. What an awesome question. The legacy I would like to leave is, for some reason, like ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to leave the world just a little bit better than how I found it. So when you're camping, they have like this no trace camping policy. So it was like, nobody was ever here. I've always had that feeling. I'd like to leave every conversation with just maybe somebody who wasn't smiling before, just smile, or to feel a little bit inspired. I get inspired by that myself. So if I could leave a legacy where more people could trust themselves more deeply and feel that same calling to, by giving more of themselves, leave the world around you and the community that you live in just a little bit better than how you found it that morning that you woke up, that would be so awesome.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, my dear. And thank you for joining me on the show and on the Backstage Pass.
Well, thank you, Tina. I think you are amazing. And it's been just such a delight to talk with you.
It has been fun. And we are a mutual admiration society.
I know.
We'll have to come up with another reason to have you come back again.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll figure out.
We're creative.
We're very creative. We'll go into our goose state. We'll figure something out. We'll bring it out.
We'll follow the breadcrumbs and we're there.
That's right. Cosmic breadcrumbs. We're all set.
Yeah.
Watch. Now, sometimes someone's going to hear this and they're going to get inspired and actually going to go out and create a product called Cosmic Breadcrumbs. You're welcome. Yeah.
Right.
I hope they do. That would be great.
That's cool.
I want to see a Kickstarter for that.
Oh, maybe we should do it. Ooh.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on the Backstage Pass. Have a fabulous week. Remember, get out there, take actions, pull your future toward you, bring your dreams into reality, because you know what? Not only do you deserve it, but the world deserves it too. We'll see you next week.